Hey everybody, my name is BlakJak and welcome to my review for Sly 3, Honor Among Thieves. In this review I'll be talking about the story, presentation, and gameplay. So the plot is rather interesting for this game. You see, Sly builds an Ocean's 7-esque team in order to infiltrate the Cooper Vault. However, the new owner of Cane Island, Dr. M, stops the team in their tracks and captures Sly using his giant mutant beast. Also, I just realized right now that the fucking island's called Cane Island. I'm gonna go jump off a bridge now. Sly, on the verge of having his very own Goku vs. Ozaru Vegeta moment, has a flashback of the events that led up to his current Kakarot crushing crisis. Each level has its own story to tell with interesting characters and really fun locations. Each new member of the team has a specific purpose of being there, except Dimitri, who just kinda tagged along and everyone was like, okay, cool, fuck it, whatever, who gives a shit. Sly 3's method of delivering a narrative feels more episodic as opposed to the prior entries' more overarching tales. Although each episode technically does lead into the next one, I feel if you were able to hop right into any level, you would be able to just enjoy its short little story. The only hangups being the new characters that were introduced in the prior episodes. One thing I love about the game's story is how little actual focus there is on Sly. I mean, he's still the main character and he does take up a large portion of the screen time. However, the overarching plot revolves more so around Bentley, which is really fitting, seeing as the end of the game, Dr. M only has respect for the Cooper Gang's true leader. Speaking of Dr. M, he's technically the main villain of this game, but he's only really seen in the prologue mission and at the end level. Although you don't see him throughout the game, you learn quite a bit about him in the few interactions Sly and the gang have with him. I also love how each villain throughout the game are like these over-the-top evil beings, like it's fucking amazing. General Sal kidnaps Panda King's daughter in order to force her into marrying him. Oh, and he also raised the dead and wanted to murder the group. Black Baron is like this over-the-top, conniving, and tactical pilot who'll do anything in his power to win his own competition. Octavio wants to flood Venice's canals with tar out of spite because of society's shifting preferences and musical tastes. Oh, and how about Captain Lafitte, who's literally a yo-ho-ho, took a bite of gum-gum type of fucking pirate. Also, there's a scene where he pretty much admits he has Weinstein women before.
Yeah, I suppose you'd have to keep her locked up. After all, if she ever got away, you'd never get a date.
It is true, I have a strong personality, but I've never had a problem with the ladies, especially when I've a broadside aimed at their sailboat. Savvy?
This game is rated E10 plus, people. Also murder. There's a ton of murder in this game.
It's a shame you won't be seeing them again.
Sir?
Afraid I poisoned your drink at lunch. Sorry, Richards, but I don't tolerate poor performance. You should have changed the security code from 1, 2, 3 after you installed the new system.
I'll improve, I swear.
No, you'll die any second now.
Oh.
Yes, water leaking into the lab. I'm on my way down. Oh, and get a janitor for the lab elevator. Richards got sloppy.
Look away if you must. You're about to witness the dark side of electrical engineering. Kill a bunch of poor innocent fish, will he? That'll do it. Okay, that's enough of that guy.
The main trio are really great. Sly is witty and clever while being suave and at times stubborn. Murray had a whole anime character arc where he went from peaceful giant to rampaging wrestler. And he kind of gets a little flanderized as levels progress in the sense that he's all about destruction and his van. But Bentley goes through multiple emotions. Forgiveness, understanding towards Murray, hatred towards Lafitte, and doubt towards his own best friend. Bentley is the true main character of Sly 3. The secondary gang members are alright. The guru doesn't actually speak English, but you get a sense that he is extremely wise and peaceful, except when he's murdering guards by possessing a giant wolf. Penelope is Bentley's equal in terms of intelligence. Bentley also has like a nice guy neckbeard moment when he realizes his crush has a crush on Sly for being cool. Also, since she's the only woman in the group, she gets hit on by the greasy sweet crackerbox himself, Dimitri. But since she's a boss-ass bitch, she has no problem putting people in their place.
Remember rules 1 and 2, both of which told you to get over yourself.
or in the one instance, straight up sword dueling her captor. She's a boss ass bitch, boss ass bitch. Dimitri is pretty much the same character he was in the previous game, except now he has more screen time as he appears sporadically throughout it. And yes, he still speaks in his very unique hip-hop influenced manner of speaking, okay? Greasy sweet. Panicking makes a return from the first game, and I really enjoyed his story. He's an overprotective father who has a burning hatred towards the man that defeated him, i.e. Sly. He even has to convince his inner demon to go along with the Cooper gang. Like, this fucking man had like an inner monologue and shit. It was great. He's a man with a ton of turmoil, and he eventually gets some sort of inner peace, especially after Sal is defeated. After his level, he becomes a little flanderized as well. He becomes a one-note firework poetry machine. And by that I mean he has many really pretty sounding lines that all tend to be about his magnificent firework displays. Last but not least is everyone's favorite head cop lady, Carmelita. She's played by Ruth Livier. Alright, that's definitely not how you pronounce her name, but whatever, fuck it, I don't give a shit anymore. I bring this up because they keep changing Carmelita's voice, whereas the main trio have retained the same actor since the first game. She is still the stern and cold calculating woman she was in the past games. However, right at the end of the game, she is shown to have a soft spot for our main man Sly. When Sly has amnesia, she outright lies and tells him that they work together. Then they escape together, leaving behind the Cooper family's massive wealth behind, and as Dr. M stubbornly stays behind and dies with his lifelong goal. I really love the visual aesthetics of this game. This to me is the best Sly has looked in a very long time. Not really saying much since the only game at this is Sly 4, but I'll get there some other day. I love the cel shaded look, and what really makes this visual style stand out for me more than Sly 2's is a really nice outline on each of the characters. That outline gives it that comic book feel. The other comic booky aspects still remain, like the automatopoeia bubbles and the really cool cutscenes. The environments are all interesting. I love how each level is vibrant, saturated with simple color choices. Each level has a great feel and vibe going for them. Even the guards that populate the areas are all really cleverly designed. For instance, Octavio's mafiosos are all wearing Carnivale masks because it's Carnivale, and the pirates are all sea dogs, or sailors, because, you know, pirates. They're literal dogs. It's fucking brilliant. In the Outback, you face off against dingoes and kangaroos, local animals in the real world, and Murray also murders them by feeding them to a crocodile, only perpetuating the fact that this should have been a rated T game. I mean, shit, there's even a moment where you need to outdrink the miners in a bar. I mean, it's a lemonade bar, but who knows if those weren't Mike's Hard Lemonade. Hashtag no sponsor. The models tend to look a little weird when you see close-ups of the characters, like how General Sal's chin hair morphs into his chest, but it's not the worst thing out there. There have been some really funny still frames, however, like Hi Sly, and the occasional you got the nothing moments, but they too don't disrupt the game. The cutscenes are done in Flash. The art style is rather cartoony while still being nicely shaded and colored while keeping that comic book style. The movements are rather stilted, but that's kind of what the whole series was like. And I do love these cutscenes, by the way. I think they're fairly unique for the time, and I can't think of another game that came out that year or prior that did something similar. If you guys know of any, let me know down below. I'm really interested to see what else is out there. The in-game cutscenes look okay for the most part, other than what I mentioned previously with the slightly wonky models. But my biggest gripe is still the fact that you can't skip any cutscene. Dying at the challenges became annoying if there was a little line of dialogue, because losing meant that you'd have to listen to it over and over again. I really like the character designs in this game. Sly still looks the same, as does Carmelita. Murray has two looks, his classic Sly 2 look and his meditation look. Each of the characters look more vibrant due to the cel shading. Also, I can't help but stare at the naked lady on Murray's stomach in his peaceful costume. And now that I mention it, you can't unsee it either. Bentley gets a redesign. Since the tragic events of the previous game, he is now in a wheelchair. This is no joke the greatest fucking thing to have ever happened to Bentley. You know, minus the whole no walking thing. His chair makes Bentley a joy to play as. Not to mention the writing for Bentley is outstanding. Little moments like this really make the characters feel real.
Sly can't even spell ASCII.
Yeah, he's not the most technical guy. Hey, let's get moving. We won't find the back entrance just standing around. Oh, sorry about that standing comment.
Give you a break, Penelope. It's just an expression.
I like the looks of the other gang members too, except Dimitri in his swimsuit. He looks a tad too ridiculous. Except I love the fact that he looks really ridiculous because he's an over-the-top character and I think it suits him. Maybe I'm just feeling a little jealous that he pulls off a skin-tight suit look better than I do. I don't particularly think Penelope's model fully captures her 2D design, but she's rather nerdy looking, which fits her character. Guru is a half-naked little purple koala with a beard. There isn't much to say on that other than, yeah, Panda King is brilliant. It's his old Sly 1 design, but with some minor tweaks, like a new spiffy firework launcher with some firework holders. Sly 3 has an interesting audio design. For starters, the in-universe sounds are fitting, especially how the tiger guards make the same sound as the guards that shoot guns when throwing their spears. Even the wheelchair noises or Sly's footsteps are really good. But what I like most about this game's audio design is the non-diegetic sounds. Sounds like this. It just adds to the cartoony comic book style of this game. It's fucking great. Peter McConnell hit it out of the park with Sly 3's soundtrack, okay? I love the soundtrack. Fight me. Okay, you're wrong if you say Sly 2's is better than this one. You don't know shit. Sly 3 is banging. Each level has a catchy and dynamic song playing. I love that the music subtly changes depending on what you're doing. The regular song will be playing, but if you get caught, it becomes more intense and louder, giving the player a sense of more urgency. The songs that play in each level are masterfully created and really fit each location. And if you haven't heard the soundtrack to Sly 3, I'd give it a listen. Sly 3's gameplay improved and streamlined a lot of the quirks I had with Sly 2. It also added a few more characters and playstyles to keep things interesting, for better or for worse. So why don't we talk about the main gang before jumping into the new members? Sly plays similarly as he did in the previous game, but he has some new tricks. For starters, remember the baseball swing move Sly had in the Band of Thieves? Nope, me neither, because I think I forgot to mention it in the review. But in that game, you performed it by holding the attack button and then watch as Sly charges up a spin attack. It was clunky since it left you wide open to attack, which means it never really came in handy for any situation that wasn't just waiting for a guard to hop back onto the roof. In this game, they mapped the spin move to the triangle button. Now, when you press the triangle button, Sly charges his cane and you're free to move about so you're not a sitting duck. While charging, press the attack button and you can perform the spin attack. Now, why is this better? Well, as you keep buying upgrades, you unlock the ability to do a lightning struck and the almighty push. You even get 3 levels of attacks for each one of those moves. Couple that with the freedom to move around while charging, and you can cheese boss fights and groups of enemies as Sly pretty easily. Sly can still climb, into spire jump, and ledge walk, just like he always could. And on top of that, they brought back old moves like the feral jump from Sly 2 and the shadow power from Sly 1. This uses the same power meter as Sly 2, which still works really well and doesn't make you too overpowered. However, they nerfed Lightning Strike in this game. It doesn't always one-shot kill enemies, also it's harder to land. Flash guards are now not affected by it, and that's a good thing. You see, in Sly 2, the Lightning Strike made the game too easy. I found myself relying on it to run through enemies and flashlight guards quickly instead of sneaking around them. This is a stealth platformer series, so the game should make you try and sneak around the enemies instead of steamrolling through them. Murray hasn't changed, except he now has a ball move. It allows him to reach high areas after a series of consecutive jumps. You're also able to roll around and do some damage to items and enemies by mashing the square button while in ball form. Murray does feel a tad weaker in this game. In Sly 2, he was able of knocking out most enemies in about 2 hits, but now it seems like it takes him 3 to 4 depending on the enemy. But that doesn't mean he isn't fun to play as. You still get the Fist of Flame attack, which is still the ultimate one-hit kill move, as well as the Raging Inferno flop. Murray even can do a sneak attack at any given moment to knock enemies down and out quickly. But he can now even catch enemies mid-air and shake them blind, like the bullies did when I was a kid. I get this sense of satisfaction when I'm fighting a group of guards and one of them has a shiny, and then I manage to steal it, then use their body as an explosive projectile to the other enemies. It's fucking amazing. In other words, Murray is still a blast to play as. But Bentley, on the other hand, he is my absolute favorite character to play as in this game. His wheelchair allows Bentley to have up to 4 jumps. He even has a fishing pole, which allows enemies to just hand you their money. And my favorite thing to do is to throw bombs into the guards' back pockets, especially after putting them to sleep and then robbing them blind. Bentley is a stone-cold murderer. He murdered a man because a guy killed a tank full of fish. He also gets some of his old gadgets back, like the Rage Bomb and Size Disruptor, but those suck in comparison to Bentley's stock moveset of Sleeping Dart and Bomb Pocket. Although, I do love the Grapple Cam, which is a bomb that you can freely move like it was Spider-Man. It's a Spider-Man bomb, with a gun. Also parrot noises. The The other 3 playable characters are restricted to missions only. Let's start with Carmelita. Oh, my off-key singing is what brings you guys here to my channel. All right, anyway, she has a standard kick, which is semi-useless due to the fact that she has a fucking gun. She can also mega jump by holding down the circle button, and of course, she can shoot her gun. Her gun kills things quick because of the electric property it has. She even has the ability to toggle her aim on and off. It can be useful if you're just trying to do some platforming as her. However, the issue lies with the aiming. The camera by default is set to reverse controls. I mean, when you push up on the right stick, the camera points down, while left turns the camera right. Now, you can reverse the camera controls, but when I did that, the aiming controls for the aim mode were still reversed. So, yeah, it's a little weird. Just get used to the camera controls, I guess, is really my best word of advice. Guru is the first new member of the gang you gain access to. Since Guru's all about peace, he actually doesn't have an attack per se. You see, he can jump onto the backs of guards and possess them, all peaceful-like. While controlling other guards, you will automatically be forced to run forward. But you can use the guards' attacks to defend yourself, or you can even jump off them and send them running headfirst into a helicopter, or off a cliff. You know, peacefully. And murder! Sly 3 is all about the murder! Guru can also hide at any time by charging his moonstone and stick to shapeshift into random items found within the levels, like a block of cheese, or a rock, or a block of cheese. Panicking is the last actual playable character in the levels. Panicking can aim and target multiple targets in order to blast them with his beautiful fireworks. He also has his booming attack, but he swings it horizontally, not vertically. It is slow, but it can one-shot enemies. The other 2 characters you can play as are here to add more variety to the missions. Penelope is the RC missions, essentially. Except I dislike the RC helicopter. It constantly keeps moving forward and it turns very loosely. You know what? It feels exactly as it did in Slide 2 when you had to drop bombs on the Jeep. Now, it's not the movement I have an issue with. It's the attack. You see, in Slide 2, Bentley's RC helicopter could drop bombs, and missing wasn't that big a deal because the game allowed you to drop another bomb fairly quickly. Penelope's RC helicopter has a grappling hook as the attack. Now, the idea is pretty metal. You're supposed to latch onto an enemy, then hit the boost button to launch those fuckers into the air, and sometimes you can even see them crash land and die. Wow, we really just keep circling back to murder in Slide 3, huh? Awesome. What's not awesome is that the hook is very annoying to use. Since you have to judge the distance while moving, you end up needing to use the hook a little earlier than you think you would need to, which makes these missions with the helicopter slightly more anxiety-inducing because each of the helicopter missions has you protecting something or someone. Couple that with a strange attack and some enemies take more than 3 turbo boosts to launch, while having to rush back and forth trying to take out all the other enemies makes the helicopter sections really not that fun. But on the other side, there's only 2 missions with the helicopter. Penelope also has this sick-ass fucking RC car, which has some of my favorite missions in the game. It has a turret, and later it gets these pistons that launch drones. It's really fun to drive around and blast guards while jumping off ramps or chasing a trail of gunpowder trying to save Murray while shooting demons. I especially love the mission where you need to avoid the blue lasers. Then after you make it to the end, you have to drive around and destroy everything. When I was a kid, I used to die on purpose on the last RC car mission because driving around the track knocking out the drones was just way too much fun. You know what wasn't fun as a kid? The Dimitri levels. They each have wonky controls and they can be really annoying. Now, I will admit I didn't have as much trouble with these missions as I did when I played this game last time, which wasn't even that long ago. But I still think the controls make these sections really annoying. So, you aim with the left stick and you move with the face buttons. Triangle moves you forward, X swims backwards, square and circle are strafing. Dimitri can shoot a harpoon gun, and he even has a boost. The first Dimitri mission actually doesn't suck, it's kind of fun despite the weird control scheme. You need to collect some stuff, then kill sharks. It's really not that bad, because you get to swim around a pretty big arena, which gives you a chance to dodge attacks. The second mission sucks buttholes. You're trapped in a small corridor and you have to have impeccable reaction time as you dodge the crab claws. I remember dying on this part for hours, even while using the boost to dodge those damn claw attacks. I mean, eventually you'll make it through and fight a halfway decent boss fight, but it's not really that fun a mission. The biplane is fucking awesome. You get to soar around the sky, shooting at enemies with your guns, and later you get a missile launcher. You do run out of ammo, but hey, any excuse to fly through barns or under bridges while barrel rolling and spinning is a good thing. The other vehicle in this game is also awesome. The pirate ship is just a blast to play around in. You see, you turn the ship with the shoulder buttons, but you also have free control of Sly on the deck of the ship, which allows you to line up shots and fire your cannons at enemy ships. Once you take out a ship, you have the ability to jump on it and fight a captain to earn some spoils of war. Henriette Cooper would be proud of Sly and his pirating ways. Oh, there's even a moment where you get to play as this giant fireball launching squid named Crusher, except it's tied to this pretty challenging part of the game where you need to move the 2 tentacles mapped to each analog stick and shoulder button in order to protect Bentley. It was hard when I was growing up, but I guess I've just played through this game so many times that I eventually gained some sort of skill in it. Sticking with the sailing theme, the rowboat is just plain old silly. Murray can paddle the boat forward and backwards, and then later Sly can shoot a cannon. It's pretty simple and easy to control, but the missions aren't even that bad. Oh shit, I forgot about the claw in episode 2. It was kinda dumb. You move the claw and pick up things and throw them away. Even the boss you face with the claw isn't really that memorable despite it being a giant Carmelita carrying a truck throwing bombs at you. It's just a simple game of keep away. At the end of the day, it's not really that fun. Oh, this mission! Oh fuck, alright, this mission was so hard growing up. So here you need to control 2 cameras at the same time while setting off traps to kill off guards. It's like the Bad Mojo mission in Sly 2, except harder. I like this one, but it is a challenge, especially when you're doing the challenge version of this mission, where they're just sending like a gauntlet of enemies at you. It's really fun. There is also a turret section, just like in Sly 2, and it plays exactly the same. R1 shoots and you can zoom in and out with the right stick. The mission itself is pretty fair, except for the helicopter portion, but that's because of the helicopter controls as stated before. So remember how in my Sly 2 review I didn't bring up the hacking missions? Well, that's because I completely forgot to talk about it. It's my favorite side activity in that game. I loved how there was an arrow that helped you see where their bullets were going to go, as well as the bouncy bullets and the later hacking minigames. Although in Sly 3 the controls are the same, there are a few differences that make this a slightly inferior version of the hacking minigames. For starters, there's no arrow pointing in the direction of where you're shooting. Truthfully, it doesn't matter too much because the level design of the hacking minigames has declined quite a bit. The hacking minigames in Sly 2 had interesting looks and challenges within them. Sly 3's hacking levels are simplified. It's usually a corridor with a big room, and you have to shoot some sort of big enemy to pick up a key, unlock a door, that kind of thing. Although the levels have been more simplified, the amount of damage Bentley's avatar does feels stronger. It just flies through the firewalls compared to the ones in Sly 2. Like in Sly 2, you'll spend a good minute shooting those firewalls, but in Sly 3, you'll be there for like 2 seconds. I still enjoy the minigames, but I think the ones in Sly 2 are just better. So, this game came with some 3D glasses. They were pretty cool, but I broke mine years ago. They look like Sly. It was pretty cool. Here's like a picture of them. It's pretty neat. But I ended up stealing some classic old school red and blue 3D glasses at the movie theater once, just to play some of these levels. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I literally went to the movie theaters and saw these fucking glasses one day and was just like, I'm gonna swipe these for Sly Cooper. And they totally fucked up my vision for like half an hour. It was great. It was awesome. I'm never doing that again. The 3D is that old school semi-blurry red and blue kind where some things don't look like they're popping out while other stuff kinda does. But the thing I dislike is that it desaturates the colors when you turn on the 3D for the missions that allow for it. Truthfully, it's not worth it, but it's pretty neat that Sucker Punch tried it. Like, I commend them for doing something interesting. Although it didn't pan out, I still like the fact that they did try that. And it was really cool. I wish I still had my glasses. I still wish I had the Sly Cooper 3D glasses. I wish I did. Those were pretty neat. Much like the previous games, Sly 3's levels are a variety of hub levels with about 7 to 8 missions. The hub levels stick to a more horizontal level design mentality though, which is great because getting around the more vertically designed episode 3 in Sly 2 can be rather cumbersome. Since each of the main characters have abilities to gain height easily, it doesn't suck trying to get from point A to point B with the non-Sly characters. And when playing as the non-trio characters, the missions are designed in such a way where the paths you need to take aren't hindered by Guru's lack of jumping prowess or panicking slow run speed. When the missions do ask you to get to an area with them, it presents it as a fun platforming challenge, or it plays to the strengths of the characters. All in all, the hub levels are tightly designed with the freedom of exploration at its core. The missions themselves are varied. The platforming levels are pretty simple and don't really require too much skill from the player, but the missions that offer more variety also offer more challenge. These are the missions that I remember the most because I spent the most time playing them because I would constantly lose at them. Sly 2 had some memorable mission moments, but Sly 3 really brings some challenge to the series. The boss fights are quite fun, and even to this day still give me a little trouble. Octavio, the first boss, still kicks my ass. Dr. M is a simple fight, but if you miss a jump, he'll send you flying away, and you're going to be forced to dodge his elemental attacks. I remember the Mask of Dark Earth boss fight giving a bit of trouble as a kid, but that's because I was bad at controlling the claw. Even the Black Baron gave me trouble growing up until I learned that I could just sit at the door taking out all the guards in one swing. His jabs also add damage up quickly, so keep an eye on your health for that one. But my favorite fight has to be General Tso's. Flying around the arena while dodging his magic is really fun. Timing when to use your second jump to switch direction in order to line up with him to attack him is one of the most satisfying things to do in this game. What's really fun too is the second phase of the fight, which takes place in this bamboo forest where you get to run around and just cut down the trees while dodging his zombie hands and dragons. The last boss of the level isn't the best fight out there, but it does fill the quota of having Sly deck a giant in the face a few times. The Flea is a fun boss too, but it's a simple strike when he's taunting at you kind of fight, instead of the more free and frantic style of fights from the earlier bosses. There are also a few variety bosses too. The giant whale is the best one. Sly is in the biplane, you need to speed up to unload on Dr. M while dodging some hypnotic green bars and homing missiles. We already talked about Lafouille, which only leaves Dimitri's boss fight against the jelly piranha anglerfish mutant. It's the easy part of the really hard Dimitri mission, like the second half of that dodging claw thing, in which you aim the reticle at Dr. M while avoiding the bombs and stinger tentacles. Oh, I almost forgot about Carmelita's bosses. Carmelita has two bosses. She saves Sly from being crushed by the giant mutant from the beginning of the game by constantly shooting at him while dodging all her mercenary goons that keep getting launched back at her. Eventually you'll be face to face with it and you have to just avoid the very slow attacks. Now the other boss is with Mugshot. Hell yeah. Boy, was this a really fun fight when I was younger. Dodging the bullets while returning fire and mega jumping up to the roofs to make it easier to dodge the bullets was a fucking blast, especially when he would throw dynamite at you. But remember, don't get too close to Mugshot because he'll just kick you with his little baby legs. Like, holy shit, back then it was so much fun. But now, I just kind of jump side to side while he shoots at me. It's way easier to shoot at him while he's always in your line of sight. It's not even a challenging fight, but when I was a kid, damn, Mugshot was like one of the best fights in the game. So, Sucker Punch took out the bottles in this game, which blows. I like the collectibles that you could find in Sly 1 and 2, and then earning a nice reward for getting a bunch of bottles. Like, that was a blast. Instead, Sly 3 has challenges. Now, the challenges are just the same missions you've already played, except slightly more difficult. Some missions are just beat the mission with half health, or beat the mission under a certain amount of time limit, or beat the mission with but kill X number of guards, you know, just shit like that. Some of these missions up the difficulty by throwing a horde of enemies at you, which actually does make those missions pretty fun. There are even missions where you need to run around the hub world and follow clues in order to find a treasure. But the treasure doesn't actually exist, and the only things you get for 100%ing Sly 3 are a few behind the scene videos and a greasy sweet music video. I prefer collecting bottles and getting overpowered abilities just a little more than doing some challenges and getting videos. You still got videos in Sly 2 anyway, so it's like it's not even, like, I don't know. But the best extra thing you get are the 4 two-player minigames. You have Cops and Robbers, where one player is Carmelita and the other player is Sly. And Sly has two goals. 1, defeat Carmelita, which isn't going to happen as often as the other way around, and 2, collect 5 treasures. Carmelita's goal? Simply, kill Sly. You both have a compass pointing the way to the other player, and Sly's waypoint points to the nearest treasure and drop-off point. In the hub area, you can find power-ups to make things a tad more fun. Sly has the smoke bomb, which stuns Carmelita for a little bit. He also gets the rocket boots, which allows him to speed throughout the city. And finally has a shield, which blocks attacks for a short time. Carmelita gets the broken as fuck teleport, which gives Carmelita the ability to instant transmission all the way to Sly's position. The hypnotize ability, which reverses the controls and makes it hard to see where Sly is going. And finally, the heat seekers, which are just homing attacks. The next minigame is the Hackathon. It's a cooperative style minigame where you get to play with Bentley and Sly / Penelope, depending on where you are in the story. And together, you need to survive through 6 boards as hordes of enemies come flooding in. There are a bunch of power-ups that can aid you in your survival. Some give you more firepower, others clear the screen, some of them are more defensive, like a shield or a laser that connects both players. It's really fun, and I wish there were more hacking minigames in the main game that utilize these power-ups to make them more interesting. I used to spend hours on the Biplane and Galleon Duel minigames. In both games, you take control of a vehicle. In this instance, the Biplane and Galleon respectively, and you duke it out with the other player. The Galleon Duel allows you to traverse a large arena while lobbing cannon fire at your opponent. Unfortunately, you can't take over the other player's ship and fight them that way, but that's understandable. There are no power-ups in the Galleon Duel either, so it's just a straightforward like shoot and survive kind of game. But the area that you're in is massive. It's just really fun to explore, like how far you can go in the ships. It's really great. The Biplane Duel is a one-on-one dogfight in the air where both players can use a variety of power-ups to take out each other as quickly as possible. Power-ups range from a shield to setting up mines, shooting heat seekers, and straight up nuking the opponent. Like, it's fucking hilarious. Sly 3's multiplayer used to bring hours of fun with me and my dwindling group of friends back in the day. This is probably my favorite of the Sly Cooper games, but it's not perfect. The writing is amazing in this game, and the story was a great way to end off the series. But the plot feels a tad disjointed because of the fact that each episode is its own story instead of the next step in a larger tale, like that of Sly's 1 and 2. Although, I enjoyed the 5 stories that lead up to the overarching finale of Sly and the gang making to the Cooper Vault, and I enjoy how I can just jump into any episode, story-wise, and know what's going on. Granted, I prefer the tales of Sly 1 and 2 more though. In those games, it felt like each episode was just another step in the journey to defeat Clockwork, but in this game, each episode has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's not a bad thing, but I think I just like the story of Sly 1 and 2 just a little more. The gameplay is refined and perfected, making each of the 3 main characters a complete joy to play as. However, there is way too much variety in the missions. Although I love the challenge that some of these missions give, I think that the game didn't need all of them. Also, I wish I was able to roam around the hub worlds as the other gang members. That would be really cool. Imagine just running around as Dimitri shooting harpoons at people, or Penelope. Like, how fucking lit would that be? Or fuck it, just run around the mafia town as a guru, taking over the guy with the spaghetti meatballs fetish. He wants to be drowned in his mom's spaghetti. His mom's the sauce, yo.
Ah, am I glad you're here. Mama's making spaghetti tonight and I'm starving. I'm gonna eat like 3, no 4 plates full.
I guess that you really like a cooking.
Mamma mia, I want to be buried in her sauce. It's a heaven.
Not to mention, this game still looks pretty decent even after all these years. The score is really great too. The content isn't the most exciting thing out there, but I'm a sucker for behind the scenes content, and that music video for the best song in Sly 2 is just a cherry on top. So with all that being said, I'm going to give Sly 3 Honor Among Thieves for the PS2 an 8 out of 5 out of 10. I'll hopefully see you all in Japan. John.